Time to preview the big one. I suppose the game everybody's been waiting for. Liberty Insurance Senior Final between Kilkenny and Galway. Both teams came from the same group. Kilkenny won the first round game in Athenry. I suppose it's almost irrelevant now. It's so long ago, and I suppose both teams have had different paths to the final, and we'll have learned different things along the way. I suppose we'll start with you, Bex. You've played against both teams this year. What can we look out for? What are the key differences, and I suppose what's it like to play against them?
So we played against both of them this year. I suppose playing against Kilkenny, Limerick ourselves, we never came out the dressing room, so Kilkenny were just on top form that day. Like, they just really clicked. I just thought I think Kilkenny's forwards are outstanding. I think sometimes their backs can get caught for pace at times, and I think Galway's forwards are they're so good. Like, we saw them there against Cork. Like, they were just they're playing like backs until they get the ball, and then when they get it, then they're just driving forward, like Niamh Kenny going through there, and Aoife Donoghue, like, they're just class. So it's very hard to know what the difference is. Like, every game takes a life of its own, like, and us against Galway, you could say, compared to if you looked at us playing against Galway and looked at us playing Kilkenny, you would have backed Kilkenny all day. So it's very hard to judge what way, because games, and even in the semi-finals, like, you can say Kilkenny had Tipperary, but Galway had such a huge challenge to beat Cork that you'd say you'd fancy nearly Galway to come out now on top, like, but
it can go both ways, can't it? I mean, I suppose we probably experienced it maybe this year in the Ashbourne, in that we had a handy enough semi-final and we kind of didn't really expend any emotional energy, and UCC pipped WIT, and it was a real emotional game, and they were on a real high. The turnaround there was only a day. I suppose Kilkenny got the job done against Tipperary. There was no whooping and hollering afterwards. They walked off the field. Job done was kind of the feeling. Whereas for Galway, it was a huge deal to, I suppose, beat Cork and the whole crowd out in the field afterwards. Is 3 weeks enough to come down from that emotional pitch, reset and go again? Or is it something that could count against Galway?
I don't know. I think that they probably had to come down from quite a high from the league final victory. I don't think they actually read too much into that. So I think a lot of these girls have experience of being in Croke Park at certain levels, whether it was their intermediate team, whether it was their senior team, I suppose, in 2013. They have experience, so I do think they'll be mentally prepared for this. I think the weeks coming up to finals are funny ones. I was laughing there thinking of Kieran Carey's trainings, where he was training us there with Granavan and Gary, and we'd be training for 25 minutes, I'd say, the week of the final. And I think as girls especially, we'd just be like, no, we need to sweat, we need to get fitter. You can't get any fitter this week, you know what I mean? All the work is done. It's all mental. Like, he had it right. Like, it stood to us. He got 3 finals. We won 3 finals in a row with him. You can't beat that cute. Had to get in there. Yeah. Up Granavan and Gary. But I think all the mental. It's such a mental preparation now at the moment, and that, I think, as I said earlier, I do think Galway are mentally quite strong now. Kilkenny, the last 2 years have been heartbreak for them, and I for one, and it's no slight against Cork, I'm delighted it's not a Cork Kilkenny final again. I just think it has really been, like, obviously those 2 games were so, like, tactical, and that was very impressive from that sense. But when it came down to Camogie, the last 2 finals have not been impressive displays on television. They've been exciting games, they've been tit for tat, but it hasn't been a proper display of Camogie. I don't know, would you agree with that as well?
I just think what you just said there was spot on. Like, do Galway feel like the job is done? Like, in that kind of sense, like, Cork have beaten Kilkenny so well. Like, I don't know, like, their emotions on top, outside, and I feel like obviously huge achievement, but
true, yeah.
They were just overwhelmed, like, with the whole experience, and you just kind of have to say, will that affect them going into this final?
No, I suppose if we're talking about mental strength, like, we maybe put Kilkenny up on a pedestal because they're in so many finals, but I was talking to a person close to Kilkenny camp, not involved in Kilkenny camp today, and an interesting stat is they've won 3 All-Irelands at all levels in 11 years. Jeez. So they won the minor in 2015, they won the intermediate in 2016, and they won the senior in 2016. And this current bunch of Kilkenny players, their 6th All-Ireland final, and they've only won 1. So if they don't win next Sunday, 1 from 6 is not a good return for the quality of player that they have.
Yeah.
So that pressure has to be weighing on them a little bit as well, surely.
And then Downey as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose a lot of the narrative, and we asked Anne about it straight after the semi-final. Did she want another shot at Paddy? It would have been their 4th final against Cork. And Paddy was 2-1 ahead. But 1 out of 5 is not a great return for the quality of players that they have. So maybe they're feeling a little bit of the pressure as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the pressure will be on them now, is thinking that Cork are gone.
Are they bottlers?
Cork are gone out of the equation now, and if they don't beat Galway, they kind of have to, or even they kind of they've pressure on themselves so much now to beat Galway, because if they don't beat Galway, they have to question themselves whether they're ever going to get over the line at that level.
And Corky Keaney has been such a big game for the last number of years. Mentally, do you start out the year going, this is how we're going to beat Cork this year?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're not in front of you, and you have to prepare for a completely different team. So how do you handle that? And look, Andoni is a great manager, and they've Liam Egan in there, and we commented the last day of how fit Liam had them, their S&C coach. So look, they've obviously the preparation done. I suppose we're trying to second guess their mental state at the moment, really, to a certain extent. So if we look at it tactically, we spoke the last day that Tipperary really played into Kilkenny's hands. Katie Power out the field and the ultimate out the field, and Tipperary followed them. But Kilkenny picked up the ball, ran at them. As soon as they broke the Tipperary line, they were straight through on goal, and they created some great chances. It's highly unlikely, we spoke here before we started recording, that Galway were going to allow that to happen. Galway were so tactically tuned in against Cork. They cut out Aoife Murray's puck outs, they strangled them. And what we, I suppose, think is going to happen, or maybe what I think is going to happen, we'll talk about in a second.
Sully, you're the tactician here
I reckon if I had that panel of Galway players and was setting out against Kilkenny in the morning, I'd definitely drop Teenie Cormac and back on Katie Power. Katie Power is the cultural architect of everything Kilkenny does. She's so central to everything. I'd play 7 at the back with a man marking role on Katie Power with Cormac, and drop Niamh Kenny out to midfield, Hannafy out to the half-forward line, and play Eilish O'Reilly with either Noreen Cohn or Carrie Dolan inside. And play the ball down the lines. And I think Galway have the pace and the stick work to play 5 forwards against 6 defenders. I think that's how they'll set up. What do you think yourselves? Is that something along the lines of what you do?
I just think we saw Katrina Cormac come on there against Waterford Blow in Thurles, and the job, Beck Carton ran riot in the first half. And I mean to say, after 10 minutes in the second half, and that's no slight against Beth. Now, I'm not sure we still knew she was still playing, because the Katrina Cormac came on there, one job only, and she nulled that influence that Beck Harton had in that game. And as you said, Katie Power is some women to have an influence on a game. So if you can null that threat, that's going to be a huge, huge factor, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah, I just wonder, will they go out and have a player each, or will they stay in their 6 positions? Because like we saw the last day again, Kilkenny, their movement, like Katie Power was sent forward, full forward over in the wing. Same with Marion Walsh, she was not only full forward, she's out in the wing. Like Anna Farrell, like Joe, they were everywhere. There was they had no positions. Exactly. And I think that's what kind of caught Tip a small bit, because they weren't sure, will I just hold my own position and just mark Katie Power when she comes out? So I think they need to go.
And it's not just Katie Power, they're all scoring threats.
Emma Hellebert is a young centre back.
Yeah.
She's going to be a little bit nervous, that's going to be natural. Her first instinct is going to be to follow Katie Power everywhere, because that's what you want to do as a young defender. Say, right, I'm going to stay tight, I'm going to make sure my player does not get on the ball early doors. I'm going to settle into the game. She does that, you're leaving an acre of space inside in front of Quilty, Walsh, Gall. You can't do that.
And then if you don't mark Katie Power, then
she's going to get on
the ball. And she's a great passer, and you saw there she created the goal opportunity. She gave passes to Michelle.
She was so selfless.
She was central to everything they did. She really was. I think really, once we've talked it through, I think Galway have no choice but to play 7 at the back here, and I'd be very surprised if they don't. But as I said, they definitely have the forward pace to do that, and Hannafy would bring great work rate there to the half-forward line as well, working back, which would also cut out a lot of the space for the Kilkenny forwards. I suppose, Fiona, you were looking at strengths and weaknesses for Galway. Whatever about going out to counteract the opposition, what are they going to bring to the equation themselves?
I just think their defensive performances throughout the year have been really, really strong, and it's going to be just so interesting because Kilkenny have had the 6 best forwards in the game probably this year as well. So it's going to be a serious defensive performance needed by Galway. But I think if any team can bring it this year, it's Galway. I think they've had the best defence in the championship so far, and as I said, Kilkenny have had the best forwards so far. So it's just going to be a real, it's going to be a cracker. It's not going to be a game like Cork and Kilkenny for the last 2 years, that's for sure. So
imagine Shauna Healy, Sara Devon, and Heather Cooney against Michelle Quilty, Miriam Walsh, and Denise Gall.
It's I just really hope it's a top quality game. It's the top quality game that we all hope it's going to be. I suppose when it comes to weaknesses for Galway, possibly an over-reliance sometimes on the quite young Carrie Dolan. She's a young girl. She hasn't loads and loads of experience, definitely not at this level. But I suppose free taking, hopefully that won't get her on the day. There can be awful swirly breezes in Croke Park. Gods, you just don't know what way the wind's going to go there.
Into the hill as well.
Into the hill especially.
Just naming out the Kilkenny forwards there, you're wondering, like Denise Gall there, you saw her, she was playing everywhere in the forwards. So you have to ask, are they going to go and follow the players? Like, because like if Shauna Healy doesn't follow Denise Gall, you saw what she did against Tip, and like that's the questions that Galway are going to be have to tactically get right.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
It's a tricky
we
one.
barely even mentioned Ann Dalton.
No,
So like, and we talked when we were previewing the intermediate game, right? We can't figure out what we do here. Like, is Colin Murray really concentrating on the intermediate game, or is he sitting at home with his eyes wide open going, what do we do here? You know, so look, it's a tricky one for him, and it's going to be a real test of them.
Kilkenny are so good at playing the sweeper. Like, they've that down to a T. Like, they know when to hold, they know when to go. So if Galway do set up with the sweeper, will Kilkenny outplay them on that? Because Kilkenny have played that for years without even playing a sweeper, if you know what I mean. Like, they just drift up the field and then they drift back. They're one unit. So will they outplay them if Galway go with a sweeper?
No, that's a good point, but I suppose the advantage Galway have in that situation is that Aoife O'Donoghue and Niamh Kenny are so good at carrying the ball that they do have those players. Lorraine Ryan can go from the back as well, you know, and like they do have those players that can carry the ball through the middle, which is what you need to do if you're playing against an extra defender. But
you mentioned Niamh Kenny there. I really think she's back to her best.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
they've been playing her half forward. I don't know why on earth you'd move Niamh Kenny, the best midfielder in the country for the last, I don't know how long. She played there the last day. She was outstanding, you know, so they have a really good player there. Like, so there's so many interesting ties there now. But as you said as well, it's like if there's any hole opened up in that Galway defence, Kilkenny will have someone coming like a train ready to recycle the ball back out.
And I think Niamh Kenny will be one of the players that Kilkenny will mark because she's such a leader on that field. I feel like she's constructed there. Like, you know, she does everything for Galway. Like, she gives them the ball inside the forwards. So if they
take her own scores
and if they man mark her, you're kind of questioning who is going to play around that middle for them and lead them. So I suppose
100%. I suppose, look, Ray Kelly's refereeing it. We know that he left the Limerick Tipperary game flow pretty well, Bex. We commented on earlier on. What's Ray going to do? I suppose, like, there's the danger, and I get it a little bit as well, in that on the big day, I suppose it'll be the biggest television audience of the year, biggest crowd of the year. Is Ray going to feel a little bit of pressure to referee exactly to the letter of the law on Camogie, or will he have, I suppose, the fortitude to just let it flow and give us the spectacle? Because look, the Camogie finals have been poor the last couple of years. It's called a spade a spade.
Well, I think that, like, Ray is the right man for the job, and he's got there on merit. It's not just his name wasn't pulled out of a hat. Like, there's a strategy behind that. So well done to the Camogie Association there. I was laughing with the girls from home, from the club team. We were saying that Cahill going to be delighted that Cork were knocked out, because finally he might be able to get to the All-Ireland final, you know, and like he's been refereeing for years and years. So, but I think it's a reflection on Ray Kelly's job so far this year that he got it, because you know, Carl's from Cork and he couldn't ref then, you know. So I think Ray is there on merit, and fair play to him. He's let games flow. I just hope he doesn't change anything he's been doing all year as a result of the big day, you know, because, you know, he'll be nervous about this match too. You never think about the refs being nervous, but tough. Like, as we said, the promotion around the sport is growing. The talk about this match, I don't know, is it just on my Twitter feed anyway, but like, there's a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of advertising going on. There's a lot of promotion. So he'll be nervous about this game as well, but I think they picked the right man for the job, and I hope he doesn't let himself in the match down now. That's all. So
I think there's just so much on it though.
Hashtag let it flow, Ray.
Keep that whistle in your pocket.
Let it flow.
Yeah, no, I just think there was so much on the ref last year. Like, it was just a talking point. Like,
it's so
I'd say people didn't even know who won the All Ireland. It was just about the ref.
And on that point, actually, I think that if Liz Dempsey, like, she had a very tough game, I think, against Galway and Cork there, because the match just went at such a high pace. Like, you know, they talk about the men's game needing 2 referees. Geez, some of these Camogie matches could do with 2 referees very easily as well. But I think that Liz Dempsey, the best thing that happened, Liz, was that match was blown up with the 1-point victory to Galway. I think they deserved to win on the day, and I think they've been hard done by a few calls. And if that match had gone to a draw, or Cork had ended up pulling off these victories, which they so often do in the last, they talk about Fergie time. I think that Cork have had enough experiences that as well. I think the best thing that happened, and no one ended up talking about the referee that day as a result, it just all got swept under the carpet. But I know we had a few choice words to say about some of the decisions, but well, we always have a few choice words, Bex, don't we? But, you know, I think that it was the best thing that happened that Camogie match that day, because everyone just focused on the Camogie, then no one focused on the referee. Yeah, but and that's a sign of a referee's job well done.
Or what we were giving out about was some decisions. And you know what, you actually don't mind that, because it happens in the men's sport as well.
It does.
But it was just, last year was just the constant 60 minutes that you were focused on the ref blowing the whistle, giving a free, constant freeze.
Yep.
Whereas we were only giving out about harsh decisions.
Oh yeah.
Like someone getting the head taken off a hick. You know, we're giving out about that.
I suppose the last thing to speak about before we go on for prediction, Kilkenny's use of a bench is pretty much non-existent. Whether it's a tactic that they just stay with the same 15 and just back them, or not want to give away a soft championship appearance or a soft jersey to earn your time, or whether maybe Anne doesn't have the confidence in the bench. But Galway's bench is very, very strong. I mean, you look to it there. You have Maria Cooney, who's a lot of experience. You have Ciara Murphy, who's a lot of experience playing midfield for UL in the Ashbourne. You have Rebecca Henley, who was always the main, I suppose, player in our eyes going up when you're targeting Galway. Like, they have a lot of strength, a lot of experience on the bench. Is that something that will sway it for Galway?
It's an interesting one, about Kilkenny. I remember you talking about Danielle Morrissey is with Ashbourne, with UL, with WIT. With WIT, and you playing against them with UL, and like what a standout player she was for WIT, and she can't even make the team there in Kilkenny. And
who would you leave out?
Yeah, exactly. Who would you leave out? But as you said, it's very interesting that they don't deploy a tactic where on 50 minutes they make a substitution. I think the Galway's bench is probably, I suppose, not even, I'm not going to say stronger. I think it's used more, and they've had more game experience as a result of that. So,
Now, the funny thing about it, like, Anne has started Danielle Morrissey in our Ireland final as a 17-year-old. I don't think it's a case that she doesn't have confidence in her.
No, it's just that the girls aren't getting injured, or they're not getting tired.
Yeah,
they're fit
and is the wily old fox. Maybe she's just keeping her cards close to her chest, and she could very much unleash her in Croker. But okay, so look, we're going to push for a prediction. Now, I went on first for the junior and intermediate, so I'm going to go start with you this time, Fee. Have to off the fence now and call it. Who's it going to be?
I suppose it's funny, I hadn't thought about it much until you said it about the lack of All-Ireland finals that Kilkenny have actually won. So your kind of heart would say, oh geez, you'd love to see Galway do it, but why? I think that Kilkenny, no All-Irelands are deserved, but I think that Kilkenny have put so much work into this now. I think they've got over, they don't have to play Cork now in the final. Not that, I think, to be honest, if they'd come up against any team this year, I think they would win. So I'm going to go with Kilkenny. I can't see past them. I can't see past that performance. I saw them play against Limerick down that day. I'm sorry, Bex, but I just think they're an amazing. That game as well, Bex.
From full forward. Hashtag 14.
Hand on the hip. But no, I just think that they are the strongest team in the Camogie Championship this year. They have been probably for the last maybe, you could say 1 or 2 years, I think. But I think they deserve to win it. You can't say that people deserve to win All Ireland, but I think that Kilkenny put in the work. They have the panel, they have the players, they have everything. They're the full package. I'm going to go Kilkenny.
Bex?
I think if Galway get over the win from Cork, I think Galway will do it. I think Kilkenny will have so much pressure put on themselves to win this. It's not Cork for a second year in a row. It's now a third year. They're going for, it's their third All-Ireland final, and it's against a different team, Galway. Can they beat them? If Galway play the way they did against Cork, I'd say I don't think Kilkenny will get a win. I think Galway grinded out, and that's what they did against Cork. They just kept tipping over the points. Like, there was no panic in them, just kept going. And I just think if Galway can get the heads right and all their players are tuned in, I think Galway. So it'll have to be Galway for me.
Yeah. Okay. So I suppose down to a deciding vote. I suppose if you're standing up in a dressing room Thursday night before an All-Ireland final and you're naming a team, you'd love to be able to go Anna Farrell, Katie Power, Anne Dalton, Michelle Quilty, Miriam Walsh, and Denise Gall.
You all made it. You're starting. Well done.
And the rest of you, any other 9, just grab a jersey there and spread out. Like, it's just a phenomenal forward line. At the start of the year, I did tip Galway to win it. We played them in a challenge match inside in St. Pat's on a cold January night, and I was just so impressed with what they brought from an organisation point of view, from a hunger point of view, in a challenge match on a Tuesday night. I just remember saying to myself, the car going home, geez, they're not going to be too far away. And I've been watching them since, and look, I really hope they do it, because like their players are so cooperative. I suppose we're talking about promoting the game and everything. They're always so willing to do the interviews and everything like that. And Cahill is such a nice guy, but I just can't see how they're going to handle that Kilkenny forward line. And it's just a phenomenal set of forwards. Like, who would you pick, Joe? We'll talk about picking an All-Stars team here in a while. You could just easily stick in the 6 of them, and nobody would really be able to argue with you. You couldn't argue for dropping one. I think just purely for forward strength, I'm going to go with Kilkenny. So that's it, 2-1. We're back in Anne Downey to do the business for the second time ahead of Cahill Murray.
So just to
yeah.
confirm here, Sully, you have said that you picked Galway from the start of the year, but you're back in Kilkenny now.
There,
So
a few splinters there.
yeah, on the fence much, yeah.
On the fence, yeah. Things change, you know. So yeah, we're going to go with Kilkenny. Just about. I think it's going to be a cracking game. I wouldn't rule out a replay.
Interesting.
Ooh.